Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. So in today's video we are going to be talking about the issues with neem oil or any kind of insecticides. Now over here, as you can see, these are all of my succulents. Now they do have a lot of scars because this is a very old video. I had made an arrangement long time back. And in those days, I was not very sure about water droplets. What is the importance of blowing off the water from the leaves? As you can see, majority of my succulents, though they look very beautiful, they are very stressed, but they used to have a lot of scars because I did not have much idea that I have to blow off the excess water. Otherwise, they tend to get burned. This is something that I did not know, but over the years of with experience, I learned this thing and I started to blow off all the excess water from my succulents. And now you might have seen a lot of my succulents do not have any scar. They are scar free because I tend to blow off any water if it tends to land up on my succulents. Apart from that, while watering, I ensure that I water only the soil and not on the succulents. But the moment I notice that even if there is one single drop of water, I immediately blow it off with the succulent blower. Now, apart from water staying on the succulents, a lot of people still have this issue is when you tend to use any kind of spray, whether it's an insecticide or a fungicide or a pesticide. Usually they are in a liquid form. You dilute it in water and then spray it on the succulent. So never ever do this application under the sun. You have to do it in indirect bright light. Whenever you apply, before, after application, never leave the succulent out in direct sunlight, otherwise it will lead to scars. Now there is a very famous insecticide, or I would say a pesticide, I'm not very sure, probably it's an organic pesticide, and a lot of people have spoken about this, and that's called as neem oil. Now guys, I personally never used neem oil. I advise you not to use neem oil on succulents, especially because it creates a lot of problem. Apart from that, it disrupts the farina. It can also harm the succulent. I have spoken to around 50 people who have used neem oil, out of which 49 of those people had issues after the application of neem oil. The succulents started getting worse day by day. The farina was completely destroyed and they were no longer able to revive that succulent back. And what about that one person? The one person was not even able to keep the succulent alive. Immediately the succulent started to rot the very next day after applying of neem oil. So be extremely careful. Please do not use neem oil on succulents. It tends to create a film. The oil tends to create a film on the succulents, making it very difficult for the succulent to breathe. Apart from that, it is going to completely destroy the farina. Now, for example, over here, not only neem oil, there are other sprays as well. You can see over here, this succulent looks absolutely beautiful. Now, even the person who posted this picture was not very sure what exactly went wrong, because here, as you can see, the farina is lost. Now there could be a couple of speculations because we are not very sure. Even the person who posted this picture was not very sure what went wrong, but there are certain theories that what could have gone wrong is when you have a body spray, deodorant, perfume, air freshener, hairspray, any of this spray, if it is sprayed at a very close proximity to the succulent, and if those residue of from that spray tends to land up on the succulent, the farina will get disturbed. Now you can imagine with neem oil, the product itself says that it has oil, so you can imagine what's going to happen if that is sprayed on the succulent. Now most probably over here there was some kind of spray that came in contact with the succulent, and hence it started to disturb all of the farina. So be very, very careful, guys. The succulent is going to look really terrible after you spray neem oil. All of the farina is going to get disturbed, as you can see in the image over here. I'm sure the bugs will also get destroyed. The mealy bugs will definitely die with neem oil, but it is going to completely destroy your succulent. All of the farina will be disturbed. Remember, as I've spoken about this earlier as well, our fingertips have natural oil. When we touch the finger on the succulents, it tends to smudge the farina on it. So you can imagine when a product that already contains a lot of oil in it, you can imagine what extent of damage it's going to do to your succulent. That's the reason why I don't spray anything on the succulent. Even when I tend to use a hand sanitizer, I use it on a Q-tip, and very carefully I happen to use it only on the stem area. Wherever I tend to see the mealy bugs, if I'm able to reach with the Q-tip, that's all I tend to do. I do not tend to push the hand sanitizer in between the leaves because that can damage. Apart from that, please do not use hand sanitizer on the crown area, because remember, crown area is the most delicate part of the succulent that can easily damage the crown area and that can lead to rot. I tend to use hand sanitizer dipped in Q-tip. I just moisten the Q-tip with hand sanitizer and I just happen to touch the mealy bugs. I do not spray or I do not pour the hand sanitizer on the succulent, because if you're going to do that, this is exactly how the succulent will look. You can see all of the farina has got disturbed, but probably the new growth is starting to come up on the crown area, and you can see the new growth is much more fresh, but the older leaves most probably was sprayed with a lot of insecticide or maybe a pesticide or probably neem oil, due to which all of the farina on the older leaves have got damaged. So what I usually tend to do is, if I'm working on the crown area, if there are mealybugs on the crown area, I just use dry cinnamon powder. I try to loosen the mealybugs from the crown area, and then I either tend to use a soft bristled makeup brush or the succulent blower, because when you tend to sprinkle the dry cinnamon powder, it tends to irritate the mealybugs. They tend to lose the grip from the succulent leaves and then they become very loose. That's when you can blow it off or either brush it off. Now probably during brushing off the succulent you might lose a little bit of farina, which is absolutely okay, which is 1,000 times better than pouring any kind of oil on the crown area. So that's what I usually tend to do. It has been working out for me all this while, but it's always better to notice at the early stage. Do not let the infestation reach to a extent where it is very difficult to revive your succulent back. Always do a visual check once in 2 weeks or once in 3 weeks. If you find 1 or 2 mealybugs, immediately go for the cinnamon powder, loosen them up and then blow them off so that they do not come in contact with other succulents. Always ensure that whenever you see any succulent that has been infested with any bugs, always isolate it and keep it away from the rest of your collection. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.